What's happening, cat daddies and foxy mamas? It's the Blaxploitation fanatic with another episode of the Blaxploitation Appreciation Podcast, where we celebrate Blaxploitation culture from movies to music to books and everything in between. So let's go ahead and jump into today's episode. And our movie for this episode is Hitman, starring Bernie Casey. Now, if you look at this poster and you say, I've seen that before, I'll take you back to the last episode where I introduced you or put you up on Josiah Howard's book, Blaxploitation Cinema, the Essential Reference Guide. He used the poster from Hitman as the cover to his book. So that might be somewhere you've seen it before, just in case. The movie itself is adapted from a 1970 novel called Jack's Return Home by Ted Lewis. And that book was also adapted into a 1971 movie called titled Get Carter, starring Michael Caine. Now, depending on who you talk to, some people say that Hitman is a poorly and thinly veiled remake of Get Carter. I never saw Get Carter, so I can't make the comparison. But what I will tell you is this. I love Hitman. I think Hitman is an awesome movie. And one of the things that kind of set it off for me was right from the get-go, the opening scene. So let me show you the opening scene and you can see what I'm talking about. So a movie starting out like that, man. Bernie Casey swag, the look, the gear that he's the vines that he's rocking, that just told me, like, when I watched this, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna really enjoy this movie. So who you got in it, or what the premise of the movie is Bernie Casey plays this guy named Tyrone Tackett, who is a former police officer who lives in Oakland, but he comes home to Los Angeles to investigate the suspicious death of his brother, Cornell. So again, you got Bernie Casey. Look at, how cool he is right there. You got Bernie Casey playing Tyrone Tackett. You also have in this movie the lovely and wonderful Pam Grier playing a character named Zelda, who is, believe it or not, an aspiring porn actress. And this was Pam Grier's one of her first forays into blaxploitation. Like, she did this, and she was in Cool Breeze, which came out in 1972, and both of those were her earliest entries into blaxploitation. She had done movies before, like she did a couple of Women in Prison, or as I like to call, chick exploitation films, like Big House or The Big Birdcage, one or both of those. And but Hitman and Cool Breeze was her true first foray into blaxploitation. You also have Sam Laws, who you may remember Sam Laws from Truck Turner. He was the insurance guy in Truck Turner, who was Truck Turner's boy. He got beat up by some mafia guys, and then Isaac Hayes' character, Truck Turner, kind of sought revenge on him, or sought revenge for him, I should say. But Sam Laws plays the comedic relief in the movie. He has a couple of hilarious scenes, so he's real good. You got the lovely Lisa Moore in here, and to me, man, when you look at her, she is beautiful to me. She is gorgeous, and I would have loved to have seen her do more blaxploitation movies. She actually, in this photo right here, reminds me of Vendetta McGee. She reminds me of, but she didn't do any other blaxploitation movies that I know of. So I would have loved to have seen her in more. You got Betty Waldron playing Irvell, when she is Cornell Tackett's, so Tyrone's brother. She was his girlfriend, and she's a prostitute, but she didn't do any other, Betty Waldron didn't do any other blaxploitation movies either. But where my fondest remembrance of her is from an episode of Sanford and Son. She played this character named Fast Fanny. If you think, if anybody, you're a Sanford and Son fan, and you remember an episode where Fred and his boys, Bubba, Grady, even had Skillet and Leroy guest starring in that episode. They were like going to have a party and wanted to have some girls over. So they contacted Fast Fanny to bring the girls for them. So when I saw Betty Waldron, I was like, that was the first thing that, took me back to that episode. Candy All, don't have a picture of her, but she played Rochelle Tackett, Tyrone's niece. You have these two dudes, Christopher Joy and Roger E. Mosley, who plays these thugs. Leon, no, Leon's up there, Leon and Baby Huey. And you may remember Roger Mosley as Goldie's brother, Olinga, in the Mac. And then anybody remembers Magnum PI in the 80s, he was in there. But Roger Moore was also in Roger Mosley, not Roger Moore. Roger Mosley was also in Sweet Jesus, Preacher Man. And then the two of them, Joy and Mosley, reconnected a couple of times in Blaxploitation movies. They were both in a movie called Darktown Strutters together. And they were also in a little known movie called Big Time. And Big Time was one of those movies that, for the people who have seen it, a lot of people say it sucked, it was terrible. But again, from a campy Blaxploitation perspective, I thought it was a cute movie. It was a comedy. The lovely Jane Kennedy was in it, and maybe somewhere down the road we'll talk about it because Smokey Robinson did the soundtrack for Big Time. But I just thought it was interesting that these two hooked up in other Blaxploitation movies beyond just Hitman. So Darktown Strutters and Big Time, they both were in. And then there was a character named Theodis Oliver, played by Edmund Cambridge. And I don't have a picture of him, but I'll talk about his character in a minute. And then those were the main folks, the main characters and the main actors in the movie. But you also had several other Blaxploitation veterans, per se, in smaller roles in this. Like you have Marilyn Joy, who was billed as Tracy Ann King, because in some of her earlier roles, she went by Tracy Ann King. She plays a character called Nita Biggs. And Marilyn Joy, you may remember from Black Samurai with Jim Kelly, Mean Mother. She was in The Candy Tangerine Man. Speaking of The Candy Tangerine Man, John Daniels, The Candy Tangerine Man himself, is in this movie. And John Daniels was also in Getting Over and Black Shampoo. You have Rudy Challenger, who you may remember as the congressman from the Detroit 9000 movie that we did a few episodes ago. And he was also in Sheba Baby. He plays this character named Julius Swift, porn named Julius Swift. And then one other Blaxploitation veteran is Diane Summerfield, who was in Blackjack and Black Godfather. So you, again, have several Blaxploitation veterans and Blaxploitation credits that were represented in this movie. So I just thought that was pretty cool. And then, like I said, some of the highlights is Bernie Casey himself, man. He just was very cool in the sense of some of the outfits that he wore. Like if you look at that one, it's almost like an exact replica of the black outfit he was wearing in the initial picture I showed you. It's another one. So he's just real cool, man. Just had the swag. And then one of the other things is he got to hook up with the lady. So he hooked up with Pam Grier as her character, Griselda. He hooked up with Lisa Moore, Laurel Garfoot. She was a proprietor of this hotel he stayed in, and he wound up, kind of basically putting the back down on her and hooked up with her. And then for some weird reason, like I said, Marilyn Joy played this character called Nita Biggs, and her and Tyrone Tackett had this kind of weird phone thing going on. So when you watch it, you'll see what I'm talking about. So that is people and a little bit, but let me tell you a little more about the movie in and of itself. Like I said, Tyrone comes home to LA to investigate the suspicious death of his brother. And what he does is he tracks down Irville, the Cornell's girlfriend, the prostitute, and she kind of says she doesn't know anything about Cornell's death, and he kind of checks her at Cornell's funeral. Matter of fact, let's show that scene real quick. Let's take a look at this particular scene. So here we go.
Cornell talked a lot about you. You know that? I thought y'all was pretty tight and everything.
I saw her a couple of times. I wasn't family.
You was his main thing after the lady walked out on him. Don't shine me on her, girl.
Look, man, I don't know nothing about nothing. You got that? And that's the righteous truth.
You just keep your head open here. And when I'm ready, we're going to sit down and talk about it. You're going to tell me something.
So that was some of the hip dialogue. I checked her. And then did anybody catch the phrase he said, "Don't shine me on her bell"? Remember in the Monkey Hustle episode, we talked about Rudy Ray Moore's character Goldie when he was like, "Oh, Foxy is shining me on." And like I said, I had never heard that phrase until I started watching Blaxploitation movies, but maybe shining me on was popular in the 70s. But either way, so what happens is he has that conversation trying to find out from Irvell what's going on. She says she doesn't know anything. He then connects with his niece, Rochelle, which is Tyrone's daughter, to see if she knew anything. Through all of this, he's harassed by Leon and Baby Huey, those two dudes, Christopher Joy, Roger Mosley. So they kind of harass him throughout the movie. And as he's doing his investigation, he tracks down this local mobster named Nano Zito. And through tracking down Nano Zito, he meets Griselda, so Pam Grier's character, who is that aspiring porn actress. And so she tells him about this dude, the Otis Oliver, who's a local porn king, and finds out that he's the one that actually sent the thugs, Leon and Baby Huey, after Tyrone. So he kind of, goes, checks out Oliver, finding out what's going on. And the Otis Oliver tells Tyrone that Nano Zito was the one who killed his brother Cornell. So at that point, he wants to exact revenge on Nano Zito. While all this is going on, as I said, he hooks up with the ladies, hooks up with Griselda. She winds up taking him to a theater to see her famous, or her debut in this movie as a porn star. And while watching this movie, he sees his niece in it. Now, Griselda doesn't know it's his niece, so and as he's watching this movie, he sees clearly that his niece didn't want to do this movie. So it enrages him, and he kind of prods for more information from Griselda about this girl. And she says that, hey, she didn't want to do it. We kind of had to force her into doing it. And, that, like I said, enrages him even more, but he puts it together that his brother Cornell probably found this out as well. And considering it was his daughter, he was out to get revenge and seek retribution. And that's probably why he was killed. Okay. So as Tyrone figures all this out, he gets more and more upset, and now he's ready to exact revenge on people. And through this, they wound up killing his niece winds up getting killed too. So his niece Rochelle, who was in the movie. So that enrages him even more, to the point that he winds up killing several people involved. He winds up killing actor in the movie, which was Julius Swift, played by Rudy Challenger. He was the actor in the porn movie. He wound up killing the proprietor of the theater that showed the movie. That was Otis Oliver. So he wound up killing him. And then he wound up pulling the person who got his niece involved in the movie, which was this dude named Shag, which was Nano Zito's chauffeur. It turns out Shag and Tyrone had history back from when they were young. And then, although, he didn't kill Pam Grier, he put her in a position where she got mauled to death by flies. So he didn't kill her directly, but he set her up to get killed. And then the maker of the porn film, Nano Zito, the mobster, he didn't kill him directly, but what he did is he wound up, when he killed Otis Oliver, he made Otis Oliver's men think that Zito killed him. So what that did is that sparked a gun battle at the end between Zito's men and Oliver's men. So Tyrone exacted his revenge, got all of that out the way, and in the end, he prevails, man. So that's kind of how it all went down. Now, a couple things about this movie is, again, I'm not used to seeing Pam Grier as a villain, but her character, Gazelda, when she explained what they did to Tyrone's niece, it was kind of like, wow, I did. I mean, that was kind of foul, but I'm just not used to seeing Pam Grier as a villain. Another thing, a scene, I'm not going to show this scene, but there was a scene where when Tyrone's doing tracking down people, he goes to this dog fighting uh, ring or whatever. And in a movie, when you see animals involved, they'll have those disclaimers that no animals were harmed in the filming of this movie or whatever. Man, I'm gonna tell you, I think animals were truly harmed in the filming of this movie, because when you see that dog fighting scene, I was like, there's no way they could have faked that. I think that's real. So nevertheless, I mean, yeah, it was kind of foul, but uh, overall, great movie. A couple other scenes I want to show you is, when Tyrone goes and checks Theodis Oliver, the porn king. Here's that, and this is just another example of Bernie Casey with the swag. So let's peep that one.
But chicks like your bullshit bourgeois daughter can do anything they want to do, because you got the bread that make it cool. Ain't that right, Oliver? But the Rochelles of the world, because they're from the streets, man, end up dead or hustling or hooking. Let me tell you one thing, man. That shit has got to stop.
So yeah, man, he was talking about how Theodis Oliver, because he's making money through these movies, his daughter can, he's making money, he can treat his daughter well, but people like Tyrone's niece who get caught up in these movies, they get treated like crap. So that is kind of hopefully motivates you to want to see the movie. But I'm gonna leave you with one final scene, because as I said, my man Sam Laws is comic relief in this movie. So this particular episode is where, as the owner of the car lot, he's shooting a commercial and he makes a faux pas and doesn't even realize it. So I just thought this was hilarious, because it's just, again, shows you the comedy relief that he provided.
Action. Brothers and sisters, you'll find that right on late model used car right here at Epps Car City. And no matter what your credit situation, we'll put you behind the wheel of a car that you'll be proud to drive. And for you prestige motherfuckers, we got some cars that'll make you want to jump.
You said it again, Mr. Epps.
Said what? The fuck did I say?
Oh, filming a commercial, he drops the MF bomb. Doesn't even realize it. And then when the director calls him on, he's like, what the F did I say? Oh, man. And so that's just, like I said, Sam Laws has some classic episodes in there, or some classic scenes in there, classic comedic scenes in there. So you'll enjoy it. So again, Hitman, check it out, man. Great movie. All right. Okay. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and shift over to our books for this episode. And the book is a book series. It is called the Radcliff series by Roosevelt Mallory. It's a Holloway House. As you know, I said most of our Blaxploitation paperbacks are going to come from Holloway House. But this 4-book series was written from 1973 to 76. One was in 73, 2, 74, 3, 75, and book 4 was in 1976. And the premise of the Radcliff series is Joe Radcliff is a former Vietnam vet who became a hitman because he realized he can make a lot more money taking out shady underworld characters and crime figures than he made killing the Vietnam in the war. Okay, so that's the premise of the series in and of itself. But another thing I love about the Radcliff series is if you remember, one of the things I said is that a lot of the Blaxploitation paperbacks, they reprinted later covers. The Radcliff series is one where the second edition, the reprints, are almost as cool as the original cover. So that's book 1. And what book 1 was about is, in this one, Radcliff is called in to knock off Harlem's top black revolutionary. But then he's double crossed by the people that hired him. So from there, he has to exact revenge while still dodging the wrath of most of Harlem, who wants their own form of payback for the revolutionary being killed. Book 2, the San Francisco Vendetta. In this one, this mob syndicate known as the Organization, they want vengeance on Radcliff for previously offing several of their members. So they set up a fake job in order to take him out. And not only that, the best friend of the revolutionary that he killed in book 1, he's also out for payback. So Radcliff has to kind of be on the lookout for him as well. Book 3 is Double Trouble. And in this one, what happens is, in an effort to get rid of Radcliff, what happens is the organization, that mob syndicate, they have an impersonator kill a cop and a couple of federal agents, thus putting Radcliff in the crosshairs of law enforcement and hopefully eliminating him as a problem for the syndicate going forward, because now the cops are after him. So he has to sort of track down this impersonator in order to clear himself. And then lastly is book 4. Now, book 4, I haven't read yet. I'm just started reading 4. And what happens in this one is New Jersey Showdown is, excuse me, Radcliffe's woman is killed by the sons of the mafia member whom he killed in book 2 in San Francisco Vendetta. So the sons of that mafia member kills his woman. And so as a result, Radcliff is out for revenge. Mm-hmm. So that is the series, the Radcliff series. Now, the thing, one of the other things I love about this series is, let me put this back up, is if you look at the picture of Radcliff, so if you look right there, you see him in the corner of every one of his books, look at him. And then this is the picture of the author, Roosevelt Mallory. So I'm trying to put that close to, let's see if we can get that. If you look, the thing I love about this is he actually made his character almost an exact replica of himself. That is freaking awesome, man. And then the other thing that's really cool about this is Roosevelt Mallory, whereas a lot of Holloway House, I won't say a lot, but remember, you may recall me mentioning that several Holloway House authors wrote their books while in jail or prison and what have you, a la Donald Goines. Roosevelt Mallory was actually it worked in the data systems department at Hewlett Packard, so much so that in March of 1974, in their Hewlett Packard newsletter, they did an article on him. That's him right there. And his book, I think he only had one out at the time. I think they were talking about the second one coming. But how cool is that? That not only was the dude an author, but he was a very intelligent, educated, working at Hewlett Packard person. So I thought that was really cool as well. Okay, so if you have a chance, track down the Radcliff series. If you can find it. I don't know if you'll be able to find the first edition covers as easy as you'll find some of the later ones, but you can still find it, and great read. And so, excuse me. So definitely check those out. And then where we're going to leave off with today is our music. And our music is Eddie Kendricks, the name of the album, The Hitman. So you kind of get the running theme in this episode. And although the album is titled The Hitman, it has nothing to do. It's not a gangster album, not anything, about Hitman and related in the songs. But from the ads that I saw, what they said is it said the Hitman, he never misses. So I guess that was their way of saying Eddie Kendricks came with some more hits he never missed. Now, although Eddie Kendricks did several albums, and this one is pretty good, it's nowhere near his best album. But there are some cool songs on here. He's got like quarter groovy soul cuts like If Anyone Can and Fortune Teller. And then from a funk standpoint, some funky joints is Get the Cream Off the Top and I've Got the Beat. And then my favorite is a laid back anthem, which is, what is it? Can you see that? Skipping Work Today. That one is just kind of like laid back, and he's just chilling, talking about skipping work. And I'm sure when you listen to that, many of us have probably felt that way. So, nice listen when you get a chance. So that's where we're going to sort of end this thing up today, Foxy Mamas and Cat Daddies. Our movie Hitman by Bernie, or starring Bernie Casey. Check it out. The book series Radcliff by Roosevelt Mallory, and the music, the Hitman album by Eddie Kendricks. So that's what I got for you this week, Foxy Mamas and Cat Daddies. Check it out. I will catch you on the next one. Peace.